When kids just won't listen, parents often feel stuck between two choices: to give in or get angry. It's exhausting. We give you the top techniques directly from the experts, helping you on your path to a more peaceful, respectful, and joyful life with your kids. This is a super short and sweet show with Dr. Angela Dixon. She is a prenatal and pediatric focused chiropractor. Moms see her to have healthy pregnancies that lead to healthy deliveries, and kids come to her clinic for a variety of reasons, including issues with hyperactivity, ADHD, sensory processing disorder, anxiety, anger and aggression, developmental delays, ear infections. The list goes on. We caught her on her lunch break and a break from watching her son. So the episode is very short, but we managed to cover a lot of ground. So check it out. I hope you enjoy learning how Dr. Angela helps children function better in their daily routines through chiropractic practice. Okay, hello, Angela Dixon. Welcome to the show.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us. You're the first chiropractor we've had on this show, definitely. And I'm excited to learn about, that's something new for me, not knowing much about chiropractic and especially working with kids in that regard.
It's a question we get often. Mm-hmm. How do you actually work with kids? So I think this is a really great opportunity to let people know that no, we're not helping kids with back pain.
Right. All right, well, we'll get into that. First of all, I'd like to know what it is that you love about working with kids in the first place.
Yeah, I love kids because they have this energy that a lot of times I don't see in adults. They just reverberate at such an awesome, positive level, and they also have the ability to heal in a way that I think we lose as adults too. Working with a kiddo, they get better so much faster, and they show change so fast, and they just have this really awesome, positive attitude the whole time too, which is really infectious and really nice to work with every single day. I would rather come to work and work with awesome, positive kids than with dreary, sad adults every single day if I had the choice.
Yeah, you definitely, you said you love to come to work with kids. You bring your own child to work with you, don't you?
Yes. Yep. Our 14-month-old Cooper, he comes with us, and our office is very much a family office. So we encourage everyone to bring their kids, even if they're not getting adjusted. There's like a playtime after school, and our little guy hops right in and plays with everyone. And we want that family feel of we're really all in this together, this health journey, and it needs to be a team effort. So we bring that full circle with having our own little guy here with us every day.
That's awesome. Great that you can make that work.
Yes.
Okay, so you are in a private practice in an office, and you have kids and adults who are coming in there. Can you tell us more about that environment and what challenges you have there?
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with kiddos and adults of all different stages of life. So it gets really interesting. We have kiddos that are on the autism spectrum. We have kiddos who maybe have sensory processing or ADHD. And so creating a really welcoming environment for everyone can be a challenge, because if you have an adult in who maybe doesn't have kids, and then there's a kiddo in there who has a neurodevelopmental challenge, that can be really tough for everyone to see eye to eye in the office at the same time, because we have a very open layout. Everything's super open, not very many walls in our office, because we want this open, welcoming feel and that sense of community that a mom sees another kid, in the office and think, oh, well, my kid wasn't the worst one in there today because that other kid threw a chair against the wall. So I'm doing a good job today. Just letting moms know, like, hey, you're not in this alone. There's other people who are having challenges too. Just keep going. You're doing a great job. And so if there are people who maybe aren't so keen on kids, that can create a big challenge in our office. But we do the best that we can to just keep everyone happy. And it really creates a high energy environment in the office. Like I mentioned before, is really fun to work in for us because they re-energize us as the day goes too. And it's really fun just the kids will end up all playing together and in our little play area up front. And it just really creates a really fun environment of the kids love coming here. And that makes it a lot easier too to do the visits when they enjoy coming and being in our office.
So how do you answer the question of what chiropractic has to do with kids and their emotions, behavior, and on and on?
Yeah, I love this question. So many times people associate chiropractors with neck pain, back pain, headaches, those types of things. And so when they hear we work with kids, we get this kind of look from people that are thinking, do kids have back pain or headaches? And sometimes they really do. I don't want to discount that. It does happen too. But we are looking at it less of a structural standpoint and more of the nervous system standpoint. So when we talk about the nervous system, you can think of an air traffic controller. They have a really important job at the airport. They're sitting up in the tower. They're coordinating everything that's happening. Planes landing, taking off, which runway they should be on, which direction they should be going, which pattern they're going to fly once they take off into the air. They have to handle any emergencies or landings or anything like that goes awry. They have a really important job that keeps people safe and keeps people alive when they're flying and traveling and keeps things running on time. The nervous system does the same thing inside of our body. So it's this master controller sitting up there in your fancy brain and spinal cord, and it's coordinating all of the functions happening in your body, from healing from a cut to digesting food, fighting a bacteria, growing new skin, helping all of our organs work, all the filtering, how we react, our balance, our coordination, all of that plays together, and all of it's being coordinated by your nervous system. So that big, fancy nervous system, that's what we're working with as chiropractors to help kiddos focus better, have that better attention, that better behavior, all those things. So if you think about it this way, ADHD is a really common one that we talk about with parents. So if your child has that attention deficit, you can think of it as the air traffic controller. He's there at work, but someone put a boom box on his desk, put on Metallica, and cranked up the volume to 10. Now, if I did that to you right now, you'd probably have a hard time focusing, talking to me, right?
Yes, well, that is actually my experience of my life dealing with ADHD.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah. So, it can be super loud. And if you think about being in that environment, it's not easy to sit still. It's not easy to focus. It's not easy to be productive. It's not easy to be nice to people because you're just overwhelmed by this just volume of noise. That's what's happening inside a kiddo's brain that has ADHD. They're so overwhelmed with volume of signals that are coming from their body and ending up in their brain that it's just overwhelming for them to try to focus, pay attention, do the things they're supposed to, follow direction, because they've got Metallica screaming in their head and you're asking them to sit still and colors in the lines, and they're just trying to move as much as they can to expel all this extra energy because they can't keep it inside their body. They don't know what to do with themselves. So when we can get kiddos to be better connected, and for the ADHD example, we can calm down the volume of signals. That makes a huge difference for those kiddos to, on their own, be able to start naturally focusing better, paying attention better, following directions, all those things that we want for kiddos. So instead of attacking it from trying to change their behavior, we're going inside their body and attacking it from the inside, saying, hey, if we can help calm down the volume and they're not getting screamed at inside their head all day, every day, all of these behaviors naturally are going to start changing because they have that better ability to focus and they're not so overwhelmed. all of the time, all day, just absolute overwhelm inside the head. And that then they're not as tired either. It plays into a lot of different parts of the body. It's all connected. And so we're going to see effects from their focus to their eating to their bathroom habits. It's all going to kind of play full circle together when we can start changing and healing from the inside.
Yeah, I can vouch for a lot of that as someone with ADHD. And when we spoke earlier, you had mentioned one of your diagnostic tools being heart rate variability, which is something I just got into, and I can just vouch for that kind of as I've learned more about my own nervous system and how my breath or whatever else is affecting it affects my behavior and my thoughts. It's all very real.
It is, and this is where chiropractic has really come into the 21st century with the technology and the research that we've probably been a little lacking in the history of our profession of having scans like the HRV, the heart rate variability, in our office. We also run 2 other scans along with that, so we can actually peek inside that body and say, is this person running full out on stress, or do they have great access to the healing part of their system, or is their gut super stressed, or are they just overwhelmed with signals, or are their signals really disorganized? We can actually physically look at that with that scanning technology, and that gives us a really great direction, and it gives parents a really great understanding. When you can sit down and show them a picture of this is what it feels like to be inside your kid's body, that's really comforting for parents, because a lot of times they feel at a loss of trying to understand what's going on with their kiddo. How do I help them? What step do I take next? So it's really great to fill in some of those puzzle pieces for them and let them know this is actually what's happening inside your kiddo, and then taking it that next step of this is the change that can happen for your kiddo, which is really awesome to be able to look parents in the eye and tell them change is possible for your kiddo. That's one of my favorite parts of my job, other than actually seeing the change, is really fun too. But using that technology, like you mentioned, the heart rate variability, we can do that as young as newborns. It looks a little bit different for newborns and adults. The actual mechanism that we use, newborns have an ear clip and adults are going to sit with their hand in a box. But using that technology to make sure we're super evidence-based, and we also run those scans along as you do care. So we're constantly checking up to make sure we're actually making the progress that we want to make sure that we're going to end up with the results that everyone wants at the end of it.
So in all of my other shows, I've kind of focused on what parents or caregivers can do to get kids to listen. And, you're in chiropractic, and so you're talking about ways that you could help out with that from a chiropractic perspective. Do you find yourself giving particular tips when they leave the office and they go home? Are you sending them home with any new tools that they're able to do at home to help them communicate with their kids or whatever the kid needs? What would that look like?
Kind of in a back doorway. So we look at 3 different types of stresses that affect every single person, from me to you to the kids in my office. We look at physical stress, emotional stress, and chemical stress. And we look at to see which of those stresses are most affecting your child. So when I talk about stress with parents, I say, imagine a bucket inside your body, and you've got that much room that the bucket can hold to deal with stress in your normal everyday life. So as we run into stress, our body drops the stress in the bucket. Our nervous system is supposed to come by, process that stress, take it out, and leave room for more. So what happens with these overwhelmed kiddos who are stuck with the stress system running is they're never emptying their bucket. They just continue to pile and pile and pile the stress in there. So this is where the take-home homework portion comes into this for parents of what's filling up your kid's bucket. Is it physical stress that they jump off everything that they see? A lot of sensory kids or ADHD kids, they literally jump off of everything, or they spin circles, or they throw themselves on the ground, or bang their head on the wall. things that could be physically stressful on their body, or it could be the sports that they play. A lot of kids, there's a chemical load that happens, and this is going to be everything from the detergent that you use to the food that they're eating. Food is a really big one, especially for kiddos facing challenges like ADHD, sensory processing, autism, because when we are running on full stress mode, we don't want to take the time to digest food, because that's a very time and energy intensive process to digest high protein, nutrient dense food. So these kids are going to err towards simple foods, simple carbohydrates, things that they can quick break down, get that glucose hit that their brain needs, and keep moving. So when we get picky eaters in the office, and the parents will tell me they only want to eat chicken nuggets and mac and cheese and ice cream. That's a common combo that I get from parents, these super simple foods. And so it's really easy to get a toxic load out of those foods because we're eating highly processed sugar, grains, and dairy, and those don't create great building blocks for cells inside the body because they're not real high-quality foods. So we have a big opportunity for a chemical stress on our kiddos, not to mention all the things that we spray into our air, release into our environment. There's a lot of environmental pieces that go into this that we kind of have not as much control over. And then we look at the emotional side of stress. Kiddos who have maybe a label or a diagnosis, other kids are going to notice, and they're going to bully, or they're going to pick on them, or they might have to go to a different classroom, and they might stand out from their peers, and that can create that emotional side of it. And then we have kids with anxiety. A lot of times there's anxiety as a complicating factor to some of these other diagnoses that are going on, and that anxiety can really fill up their stress bucket and take up a lot of room in there because they're worrying about, am I a good kid? Am I doing the right thing? I just want to make my parents happy. I just want to be successful. And that can be really straining on them too. So it's different for each kiddo what the homework's going to look like. But basically looking at their bucket list, what's filling up their bucket, and finding ways to pare that back and decrease their stress load every day. So like I said, some kids that's going to be food, some kids that's going to be counseling for the emotional part of it, some kids it's going to be physical activity or less activity, or it's all going to depend on what's filling up that bucket. Let's help take some of that stress load off the kiddos so that they aren't so overloaded every single day.
Okay, so it would start with identifying the primary stressors for the kid.
Yeah.
And so you have your diagnostic measures, and a parent, they're going to be trusting their gut on a lot of things.
Yes.
How much of that is just self-reporting by the kid? When a 6-year-old says, "Oh, it's because I don't like my teacher," what kind of weight is that given?
Definitely. So if they're old enough to give their opinion, we put a lot of weight into that, because a lot of times kids will tell me, I don't like school because my teacher is boring. Or where the parent's telling me, a different story. The teacher says that they're defiant or they don't listen, so we get conflicting stories, but we do really listen to the kiddos, because even they might not be saying exactly what they mean, but there's a lot in between the lines of, all right, well, if they think the teacher is boring, it might be that it's a subject they're very advanced in and it's moving too slow for them. Or they might be saying that because it's a very noisy classroom, like an art classroom, where there's too much going on for them to focus, so they don't have the ability to get the schoolwork done. So kind of reading into what the kiddos say, we can get a lot of information from them of what's really going on. But parents obviously have a really big say in this. They're the caretakers. They're the ones that see them, on a daily basis. And they're really great reporters of stuff that they see, and reporting the changes as we go too. So it really is a team effort of trying to get as much info that we can from the kiddos, and then we try to get the kids out of the room when we can, so that I can talk to the parents unfiltered. If kids are in the room, we really use a lot of parent talk to try to get info from them without making the kid feel like there's something wrong with them. So when we can, we get the kiddo out of the room and they can talk unfiltered about, this is what we see, these are our challenges, and get that full picture of what it looks like. And the kid's history gives me way more information than maybe anything that anybody says during that initial discovery appointment, because if I have a kiddo who the mom was super stressed during pregnancy, they had maybe an emergency C-section or a stressful delivery, and then they were colicky, trouble breastfeeding, then they had ear infections, that type of history, common history I see over and over again, that's going to speak volumes to how much the kid is wired for stress from the beginning versus maybe what they're saying they're experiencing in their daily life now. So what they've gone through before they walk in my doors really is very telling too about what we're actually dealing with for that kiddo, and how long it's going to take for them to experience that change that the parents want.
Do you have any general advice? I know that what you're talking about is so dependent on different diagnoses.
Yeah.
Do you have advice that you wish or something you wish you could share with just the average parent? Is there something you're seeing a lot of that you think everybody could benefit from hearing? Or
the first thing I wish I could say to everybody is just, especially moms, is trust your gut. So many times moms will tell me, well, I saw this that concerned me when they were 2, but, I wasn't sure, and I read a blog about it, and then I let it go, and now they're 5, and they're getting kicked out of school for punching kids, and, I saw some of the behaviors early, and I thought it was, I thought I should do something, but I wasn't sure, and just trusting that mom gut of, I don't think everything is right. I want to seek care for my kid, just to empower moms to do it. It doesn't matter who you go to. It does, but finding that right provider for you, whatever that first step is, whether it's counseling or your pediatrician or someone like us, just finding that right step to take to start the process for your kid as early as you can. So many times people wait, and it's worse, and it takes more work to get healthy than if we would have started, 3 years prior when mom first noticed. So just to empower moms, what's best, your kiddo, and to actually listen to yourself. So many times we turn to the internet and mom's pages and all of this different stuff instead of just listening to, I think that we need to do something for our kiddo, and just taking that first step. And just for parents to know, when we do consultations in our office, we come in for one price. We have them come in, talk to us, do the scans, and we give our recommendations, all of that up front. So even if they don't choose to do care with us, that they've got more information and they've got another direction to take for their kiddo. More information is never a bad thing, right? So just empowering parents to let them know this is what's happening with your kiddo, this is what's going on inside, and we give them, other options of occupational therapy might really, or, different steps that they can take to help their kid along the step. It doesn't always have to be us. So just never to be afraid to take that next step and move forward and take action for your kiddo. Don't wait 3 years till they're getting kicked out of school. Do something early and really help them be set up on a great path and help them avoid a lot of those pitfalls and diagnoses and things that happen later.
Where can we learn more about you and your office and the field in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a lot of information on our website and on our Facebook. Our office name is New Hope Chiropractic. So if you throw that in Google, our website will come up. We've got information about the scans, information about care for kids, adults, pregnancy. Those are our main areas of focus. And then on there's an option to communicate with us. We offer a complimentary 15-minute consultation. If parents just aren't sure if we're the right step or they want to ask some specific questions, that's a really great way for them to connect with one of our doctors. You get an actual doctor on the phone and get the questions answered and just see, is this the next right step for your kiddo, or where do you need to go next for your child, or get, like I said, answers to questions. There's nothing that keeps me up more at night than knowing that parents are also laying awake with questions that they don't have answers to. We absolutely want to answer every single question that we can for parents. too often we get a label or a diagnosis and we think things are going to change, but then no one explains to us why or how this happened or where we need to go. So answering those questions for parents are really important for us. So our website is newhopesc.com. Super easy to find us there. Like I said, we're also on Facebook. If you put in New Hope Chiropractic, we pop up. And like I said, just reaching out to us, whether it's via email or phone, we're super friendly. We're easy to talk to, and we can help answer your questions and just get you started on that path to health for you and your kiddo.
Well, I'm really honored that you shared that one little sliver of free time you have in a day with us during your lunch break and your little guy break.
Yes.
Do you have any parting thoughts? Is there anything that you wished we had covered that we didn't get around to?
The only other thing I want parents to do is just to take the next step. So often we read and research and go to webinars and workshops and we get all this information, but then we never do anything with it. So whatever that next step is for your kiddo, take that step and start it today. So next year, when we get to the new year, you look back and say, gosh, I'm glad that I took action for my kiddo. A lot of times we're paralyzed by fear of the unknown. With our kids, we don't want to do the wrong thing, or we don't know if it's the right thing, or we're afraid what we're going to hear when we go. Just go. It's better to know. It's better to take the step than just to sit there paralyzed by fear or anything like that. So I would just encourage parents, whatever it is for your kiddo, take that next step, take action. You're going to thank yourself for it next year that you did it, and your kid's going to thank you too, because they're going to be a healthier, happier version of themselves, which is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, earlier you were saying you kind of stopped yourself when you said, "Oh, it doesn't matter who you go to," and I thought, well, maybe you could correct that and say it doesn't matter who you go to first.
Yes.
Yes. There's so many ways to get help with so many different types of problems, and the first and second people you see might not be the ones, and you need to go to them too to get to the third one.
The next step, yes. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it may not matter who you go to first, as long as you keep going and keep taking the recommendations, running with it, finding that right provider who's going to fill in the blanks and fill the needs that your family has, and getting to that right provider. That's the most important.
Well, Angela, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, James.
And to everyone out there listening, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.